This particular presentation is a product of the combined frustrations that I've been hearing for wedding vendors over the past at least 5 years or so. Why won't she just call me? Pick up the phone and call me. It would be so much easier if she would just call me. But the reality is that she's not, and we have to accept that reality. We just have to learn how to do it better. Learn that it's a real conversation. So what I'm going to give you today is a little bit of insight into why she isn't calling, where she is, what she's doing, and how to have a better conversation with her that way. If you do that better, you're going to have more appointments. If you get more appointments, you're going to be able to make more sales, because we ascertained that most of you don't make your sales on your websites. You make your sales probably face-to-face, or at least when you're having a conversation. So there are 3 kinds of emails. There are inbound leads. Somebody comes to you through your website, through an ad, or through something. You get an inbound lead. That's one type. There's another email that's ongoing communication. We're just having a conversation via email with a prospect, with a customer, somebody. And this is not just about brides. I'm talking about emails. This is going to be about anything, but I will use mostly bride references here. And the third type of emails are outbound solicitations. So that's when you get an email list from a bridal show, from an ad, or somehow, and you're going to send out leads. Send out ads, really, emails to get people to contact you. We're not going to talk about that one today. That's a whole nother discussion. I want to talk about the conversational emails that you're having with them already. So they're coming to you, or you're just having this ongoing conversation. Now, when I was doing my research for this, I was reminded of the fact that I get a lot of emails from wedding pros, and not everybody's email address is their name at their website. Sometimes it's at Gmail. Sometimes it's at Hotmail. Sometimes it's at AOL. And I wondered, I know what I think when someone sends me an email that is in business, and they send me an email that's at AOL.com. And I was wondering, does it really make a difference? And I was looking around, and I found this article that Bill Traylor referred to on CNN. And it says that Gmail definitely fares the best. So if you have an address and it's not your own, like I'm Alan at alanberg.com, if it's not like that, Gmail would be the best, because that's the most likely thing for this generation to have as well, would be a Gmail account. But here's what they said about AOL. And I quote, "You probably have the same email address you had in 1997. You also might be 70. Fair or not, if you send an email from an AOL account, the recipient is likely to expect it to be spam, a forward of some thoroughly debunked conspiracy theory, or pictures of kittens. Hotmail also dates you, and the real takeaway is if you have your own URL, if you have your own domain name, you should have email at that domain, and not just info at. Heaven forbid, not sales at. You want to put their radar up, you say, oh, email sales at. You should have your name, because when people have a conversation, they want to have a conversation with a person. I'm not conversing with info at. I'm conversing with Susan, Bob, Steve, Dave, Kevin, Brett. I'm conversing with a person. The first thing I did is I did Alan at alanberg.com. I have about 7 email addresses. I'll talk about that a little bit as we go through ways to track. I have a lot of different email addresses, but my main one, as you have on my business cards, is Alan at alanberg.com. So, mentioned this earlier for the benefit of those that weren't here before. We had something called BI before the internet. Oh. There was Life BI. Oh. There was a World BI. What's really interesting, though, is I remember BI, because when I started in the wedding industry almost 22 years ago, there was no internet. And people complained about the same thing. Well, she'd just pick up the phone and call me. I sent her this direct mail piece. Why doesn't she just call me? They talk about it, this like nostalgic sepia tone image of it was so much simpler. It was easier. Opie was down by the pond, 5 channels on the TV, that's right. You had 5?
They were black and white.
And black and white. That's right. Hey, listen, I remember my parents got their first color TV, and the clicker actually clicked. Right? You push the button, and it went. Yeah, that's why it's called a clicker, because it used to actually click. For those of you who don't know what that is, okay. But it's kind of the more things change, the more they stay the same. So why won't she just call you? There are some reasons for that. Regardless of whether it's email, on the phone, in person, at a bridal show, you have to be able to answer the question, how much do you charge? It's the first thing that she asks. It doesn't matter what the medium is. She's going to ask that, and that doesn't change because just because she's doing it in email doesn't mean she all of a sudden knows what to ask. She doesn't know what to ask, which is why she asks how much, so she's going to do that, whatever the medium happens to be.